the previous video, we outlined what lags and leads were and how they're commonly used to help you begin to identify these as areas of risk within your program. This video will complete the reasoning of exactly why we call it best practice to avoid lags in particular, and it will show you why they often work against you by interfering with the critical path and creating problems that you might not foresee. After that, it's also important to demonstrate what we use instead of lags to model delays in your program, and how this alternative is worth your time by avoiding the issues that lags bring. This will take you from just identifying lags as areas of risk in a program to being able to avoid them in the first place, or to fix them if you spot them elsewhere in the future. Okay, so we know from before that lags and leads are two tools commonly used to model delays. I've got Project open with the same basic examples as before that will help to illustrate what I'm talking about. In this video we'll look closer at scenario 1, which is where we used a lag to represent a 5-day concrete cure after pouring and before we remove the formwork. The first thing that causes an issue with lags is that the reasoning for the delay isn't immediately obvious. It's just not indicated anywhere. We ourselves can recall from memory right now that the lag here represents a concrete cure because we've just created it, but who's to say that we'll remember that straight away at a later point in time? This gets worse if you've got other people that need to understand the program who do not share our knowledge of it. We do have the option to jot the reasons behind the lag down in the notes section by double-clicking on the task and navigating to it here. I can type something in here, click OK, and that note is now tied to that task. However, the notes won't appear on the Gantt chart or on a printout where they'd help you out the most if you're trying to find information quickly. To access them, you have to double-click the task to bring up the task information once again and go back to the notes section and read them here. Alternatively, if you right-click a column heading, select Insert Column, then start typing Indicators, Project will suggest the Indicators column. Press Enter and it'll add the Indicators column to your program, which you can now see by the eye symbol in the blue circle. If you've got a task with a note attached to it, the indicator column tells you this with a small yellow post-it note icon. If you hover over this icon, a small pop-up lets you read the notes a bit quicker than by double-clicking on each task every time. However, while you could make this work, it's still not the best solution. You need to spend additional time and thought to ensure that whoever picks up the program in the future can understand the notes, knows how to access them, and actually goes and does so. They're still not on the Gantt chart either, so you won't see them there or have any knowledge of them on a printout. If used excessively, lags can also cause obstructions to the critical path and its management. Lags cannot have resources assigned to them, and so if you're analysing a critical path with a large number of lags on it, it's likely to cause confusion and wasted time when trying to work out what is and what isn't work done by a resource. So what should you use instead of a lag? I'll show you by fixing scenario 1. Okay, so the solution we opt for is to replace a lag with a new task that represents the delay. We use the task name field to describe the delay, and the duration field to say how long we want to wait. Right, so to start, we can delete the existing relationship and the lag between the tasks. Now to add the new delay task between the concrete pour and the formwork removal, we right-click on the row of the formwork removal task and click Insert Task like this. In the new task name field, we write a description of the delay that will also show up on the Gantt. I'll put in concrete curing period to keep it nice and simple. Now for the duration, I just put the same as we had before for the lag, which is 5 elapsed calendar days, which we write as 5ED. Next, we just need to put the 3 tasks in a straightforward finish to start sequence, like so. Because this information appears on the Gantt chart, we can also use formatting to make the bars stand out using a colour chosen to correspond to delays, which will help whoever is looking at it. If you don't know how to do this yet, we've got a separate tutorial to help you with it, so be sure to check that out. We can now also make it so that this information appears on any printouts we have, unlike with the notes method. You can also add resources to the delay task if you need to, which will avoid the issues with critical task management that lags bring. Concrete curing requires no resources to take place, it's just a passage of time, so we can leave this blank for this example. Using dedicated delay tasks as an alternative to lags is going to save you in the long run from confusion, wasted time, and interference with the critical path. It does require you to think about a task name that aptly describes the delay just like the notes method, but it is much better in terms of immediate use and understanding. Having a task dedicated to the delay, particularly if you've got it formatted as a different colour, means you've got something much more obvious to remind you to update it with any changes, which you can do by simply typing in a new duration. Lags, on the other hand, are easier to forget about, and they're a bit fiddlier to update. We found this alternative method to be so effective that we can't suggest a situation where a lag is the actual better option. However, there may well be some out there that you will come across. The best advice then is that if you really need to use a lag, stay very careful and be sure of the risks. In general though, we strongly recommend taking this delay task replacement method as far as you can. Okay, so to summarise, lags are commonly used to model delays, but they have some problems which make them risky to use in your program. Lags put a delay in your program, but they don't have a great way to indicate what the reasons behind them are. This can waste your time and those of others that need to use your program. You also can't attach resources to lags, so if you're analysing a critical path with a large number of lags on it and trying to work out what can and cannot be optimised in terms of work hours and resources, this can waste your time as well. This is why we say it's good practice to avoid lags and to use the replacement task method whenever you can. It's much easier to see and use the information from a lag replacement task as we can see it on the Gantt and on printouts. Using these over lags will save you time and resources trying to solve issues that are difficult to foresee. Okay, that's it for this video. In the next video I'm going to cover why and how we avoid leads, the counterpart to lags. I'll go over how they bring risks to your program and demonstrate how the alternative method we present is worth your time. This is quite a broad topic, so if you are confused about any aspect of it, please be sure to contact us via justask@menlo-academy.com and we'll see what we can do to help you out. Alright, that's it for this video. See you in the next one.